And it is we're at the end basically of this, having seen the entire drush, which is full of all kinds of ideas, many of them we went through very quickly. At the end of this this drush, number 6, is a piece where he brings in the Rishash, which I'd like to look at it also. Now, what I wanted to do for today was start with on page, going backwards to page Taf Yud Tes. And here he start into an introduction of, well, let's see what it says on page Taf Yud Tes. The words are Daki Katnas Rishon. Now he wants to go through the different names, Katnas Rishon and Shani, Katnas Gadlus Rishon and Shani, like that. He wants to go through them. And I think what we'll do is from this place, because there's a little shtickle on a couple of pages down. I'm not sure where it is. So, okay. So he says that. We'll read the Pirush. So da ki mochin shal katnas arishon and equayim al shem halavushim. Shal Yisrael Savatavuna of Yisrael Savatavuna, which go into the Zeran pen, just the Levushim, and Nixapit Karaklau. Secha Betuchida Menirvas Beshemas Elokim Beshlosha Minim Elohim. So to begin with, it's like this. Al Derek Zeh Shem Elokim Demilu Yudin, and he shows it to us. Hu B'muach HaChachbach HaMilaslavish Benetzach Shal Yisrael Savatavuna. Shem Elokim Demilu Hein, because it looks like this. He says, "Who b'muach habina hamislavish behod shalachem." V'shem Elokim Demilu Elofim, because like this. Who b'muach hadas hamislavish b'yisod shalachem. V'simano is this semen Yud K Aleph. Kenizker be'inyan hakadish, which is mentioned, that idea by kaddish, which is the word Yehei, I guess. Be'inyan HaKadosh Etzel Amiris Yehei Shmei Rabba Kiseder Osius Yehei Hu Yudin, who is with Yudin, Hayin, and Alofim. That's what it wants to say over there. Now there's more to be said about that. I'm not going over there. That's not where I was looking to go. Now it says he has shovels a few different places where he brings in, I see now in the Pirush Rahut, where he has background, where he starts putting background into it. And I'm looking over here, trying to remember where I was that I was so concerned, and we'll get to it, I guess. So then we're up here at the top. Lefi Haseder Haror, the Knesset Amocha B'Techidas Niknas Amoach Shal Katnas Rishon Acher Kach Niknas Moach Shal Katnas Rishon V'Hu Nirbas B'Sheves Savaya Shleimim Umalayim B'Shlosha Mini Miluyim Al Derek Zeh Shem Havaya the Av the Milui Yudin Kazeh, and then he shows it to us. Who B'Muach HaChochma Mislavish B'Netzach. So this is the moach that's coming down this Av. B'Netzach Shel Yisrael Savatavuna. B'Shem Havaya the Sag, also the Havaya the Sag, the Milui Yudin, like that. Let's go on. He said, "V'haya the milui alofim kazeh Yud K Vav K Hu b'muach adas hamislavish b'yisod shalahem." Okay, so there was an explanation here, which you're not going to do. That's not what I'm looking for. He says, "Prati shemas amuach hashlishi hanechlach l'shnei cholokim." So the third is divided into two. We have, that is Yesod, or what's in Yesod, which is Das, split into two. Let's go on to the next line, the next page. Page Tov Kof Aleph. So he says here, I'm looking for something specific. What bothered me? I think it's over here. I didn't mark it good. Okay, so we'll read the light prints. And Muach Hadas Nechlach Letzad Shel Chesadim Letzad Shel Hagavuros. So he writes like the Vod Sark Sheteda Inyan Echad Bebechinas and Muach Shlishi, because it's divided, the Yisrael Sabat Devuna or the Abba V'Ima Eloin, Shuhu Koloch Besocho as Kol Mor Chadas. It has within it all of the Mor Chadas. The Zer Anpin Kenoida. Ki Shloshes HaMochim in Iskarim Hine B'Prateichem Arba HaMochim Heim. As we know, I'm going to skip a little bit. Mor HaChochmim B'Slav Shebenetzach. We're going it again. And Mor HaBina B'Slav Shebechod. And Mor Chadas is which has Chasadim B'Gvoros B'Slav Shebesod. Now, I'm still looking for the place that I want to go. Give me 1 second. Because I'm thinking this is where it is, but I haven't found it yet. So he says, so we're going on. 2 aspects of the Chasadim, Hizach came Moach Echad and Nikra Das. This is one Moach, it's called Das. This is all we know. El Shadichnech Latrin Itrin, like that. As Edel Ramochim Shal Sad Chasadim Biyamin V'Chisod V'Ramoch Shal Sad Hagavuros B'Smolo. So now he says, so we have this read this little introduction here. He says, Yavur sheyesh heker b'tzir hashemos bein shnei chelkei hamur chadas. There's something to recognize here. He says, Chedach b'chayomim hu b'bechinas zachar. V'chiv'smol b'bechinas nekeva. So just getting that idea right there, I guess you could say that because chesed is male. V'chatam sheshnei chelkei chadas nechshavim zachar v'nekeva yuvan al pi mashin isbar she'etzel akatas and ikroim amochim al shem al levushim. In Katniss, they're called by the name of the levushim v'chalavush al muach hadas, which is Yisod. Zecha Yisod de'ima b'tzad yamim shebo hu b'chinas zachar b'tzad small shebo hu b'chinas nekeva. So get us an idea that there is a male and we call them male and female. They're opposites. Valderik Masha Yisboyer Ata be'inin the Katas Arishon Yisboyer Lukaman behemshach gam inin the Katas Asheni. Sheish Chilik bein Sad Yamim shall the Yisod the bein Sad small shall the Yisod. There's going to be a difference between the sides. Ki biyamin noisim bo bechinas klal shem akadatam v'lo b'small, but not on the left side. Yisboyer Sham there would explain. Al Pichan Nizkar Ki Tzad Yamim Fish Hu Bechinas Zachar She Yisodu Aruch. Since it's long, we're going to see that. Okay, Nosib Bo Klalo, so it has more kolel, I guess. Avach Yisod Shal Nekeva the Fish Hu Concert. Okay, Kulo Nosib Bo Klalos. Now he's going to explain that the Klalos is that we're going to get to a number 74. Let me see. That is where I'm looking for. So my way behind it. Let me look at it. I didn't mark it good. Okay. So now we're going to switch. This is what I'm looking for now. Just a little background on that. On page Tov Kof Tes. That's where I wanted to be, I think. Yeah. So, Kof, let's see. Is that where we want to start? 1 second. Let's go to page Tov Kof Vav. And we're going to start talking about the name Akadatam. So Vishem Adakadat Shebachod. The Kavim Baba Bechinas he used Nechlach L'Shnei Cholokim. So let's see that's divided into 2 parts. The Hod. That's Akadatam is in each of the Netzachod Yisod. Vehem Aim Gal. And here we see that it changes its name. He says, Bebechinas Chiyos Nechlach L'Shnei Cholokim. It's 2 different parts, and it makes the same gematria, is Aim Gal. Let's go down below, and let's read, this would be on page Tov Kof Zayin. So he says the change is going to be called Aim Gal in the top corner. He says, Aim Gal Bebechinas Osius Al Derek Moach HaChochmach HaNizger V'lo Bebechinas Cheshbon Gematria Al Derech Moach Hadas V'Lechalon. So it's not the gematria that we're talking about. It's going to be what? The surah of the Osius or the Osius are going to be like this. Rotzalomer Kishtei Osius, a Rishon, that is a Rishon of Achrona, Osa Achrona, he says Shal Shem Akadatam. So the two first letters. So let me see, Osius, two of the letters. He says Osa Rishona, the Osa Achrona, the first and the last letter. Shehim Osius Aim, Aleph Mem. Nimsa b'fnei atzma ki elu ha'osis mitachidach b'eina mischalfus, because you can't switch them. Ba'osis acheros. Ki kachem atzman b'shem Elokim, because they also fit in the name Elokim. Al-Kes, in other words, in Akadatam they're there, and Elokim they're there. So he said, is din mamish, and let me see if I get this right. He said, kachem atzman b'shem Elokim, and Elokim is Al-Kain Hain. Bechin is din mamish, kamoshahu b'shem Elokim, like it is in the name Elokim. The lamata in log laomer, notice how he writes once again, log laomer, nizbayer tam nachal nazeh, so that's going to be explained. We're going to get to where I want to go here, I think. V'ki hizecha v'mora ki osius kadat, those three letters, the letters in the middle, shehem osius mcs b'shem kadatam, this chalping the rachamim yosem osius aim, so they're going to be more rachmanisdik. Because at the beginning they're not switched at all. So what does he mean by that? I'm not sure. V'ayin sham over there, Mashin is boyer, v'zecha sha'al kain b'yom lag la'omer pasku malchus milamos. So nobody, the dying stop. Kiminyan log, that number 33. Romas, his Gavros Midas Arachimim Mitam and Nisker, that's the subject over in there to see. Shlosha Osis MCU Shehim Kada to Ola Bigematria Gal, they come to that number. They Lahoros Shehim Mischalfos is to teach you that their Gal is like what? So he says Shehim Mischalfos within the Rachamim, they switch from Din to Rachamim, that's like the log of Lag Laomer. Ki koyim mekoden d'chem ba'osius lamed ke yud d'shem Elokim shehu din v'kol temurus din hu rachamim. Okay, I think that I'm more or less where I wanted to be. Let's read this a little idea here. He says ke'es now he says Yivor Rav Zal Shemus Hadas. I'm going to talk about the names of the there's Lav Belavush Yisod, who nimda bebechinis cheshbon gematria, and it can be counted. What's there, you could count them. He says, so what does that mean? It can be counted. Ke'es Yivor Rav Shemus that Shemus Shemur Hadas Hamislavish Belavush Yisod, who nimda bebechinis cheshbon begematria. Let me just Shemus Hadas. Okay. Ela shebitzad chasadim shelo lefi shehu zochar hu nimnam imakolol v'ola the cheshbon ayin hay. So this goes to the concept of the number 75, and you count with it. And he says a rule here. I think I'm not sure if it applies anywhere else. Lefi shehu zochar, since the male side shebitzad chasadim can be male, so therefore you can add on to it. You could add on to it another letter instead of a kadatam, which is 74. You can make it 75. Shuhu a communion mispar ayin hey osios anim soim bo that can be found within it. What are these 75 letters? Of the gevura shalo, and according for the side of the foot of the fish shuhu and the keva, since it's a female aspect, who nim the rock bebechinas cheshbon gematria shel atzmo shuhu ad ayin dalad 74. So he said because it's male, it has an extension. Remember, we saw a little bit the idea that the male aspect goes through, that is, the Abba is inside of Ima, she stops at the Chaza, this goes all the way through down to the bottom. Believed Hosefer Shel Lakolo, so there's another added onto it, it's just the bare female aspect, or the basic female aspect. For Al Kain, Ainu Romas, the Bisper Osius, and in Soimbo. Let's see, did I lose Rebbe? It's gone. What happened? Try to get back to me. How do I turn this off? Hmm. Okay, I don't know where I lost you. Okay, I'm reading this light print over here. There's some things I wanted to go to see in this, and it's on page Taf Koftas. Where it says like this, Ka'es now, Yivor harav zal shemuach hadas hamislavish belevush hayisod, that das, which is inside of Yisod, whom nimda bebechinas cheshbon gematria, can be counted. So he says the muach hadas, which is in Yisod, you can count it. Other shebetzadach hasadim shelo, what happens is with the hasadim, so shehu lefi shehu zohar, who nimna min a kolel, so therefore it's only counted with it can be counted with its kolel. Vol of the cheshbon ayin hey. So instead of kadatam is a gematria of ayin dalet, but the male part of the das, because all of the kadatams are going to be relative to the netzachot yisod. And in das here, he says you can count them. There's something that he said that threw me off and that made me want to look into this more deeply. And so he said, Ima kolo ola the cheshbon ayin hey shu kabinyan mispar ayin hey ozius and imsoim bo. So we had to find these 75 letters too that are found in it. He said, V'sada gevura shalo. So he said that according to the gevuras, that shalo, the fi shuhu nekeva, since it's female and it's short. Nimna rak bebechinas cheshbon gematria shal atzman shuhu ayin dalad, which is 74. Belito sefer shal kolel, so that you can't add the kolel into it then, because that's only in the male case. Talking about das, talking about the sod that's in that middle line. Belito sefer shal kolel v'alkein einem romas the misber osius hanim soimbo. So therefore you can't add on to the numbers that it normally is. Now he writes like this, and he said, "V'tam adavar sheshnei chelki amuach hadas." Hamislavshin b'levusha Yisod, both of them two different parts in one place in the Yisod. Hem nimnim bebechinas cheshbon gematria. Cheshbon gematria. He has a phrase he's using at cheshbon gematria, because there's another way to have a cheshbon, I guess, with just the count of the letters. So he's a chuvhu lefisha kol chadas nechshav lebechinas malchus. So this is the part. This is the phrase that concerned me. I was reading along and I saw this idea. He says, Hu lefisha kol hadas nechshav lebechinas malchus. How is das malchus? V'chol bebechinas cheshbon gematria. So that concept, the whole idea of doing a cheshbon in gematria, who b'malchus, so the cause of is really dealing, because malchus is where you have counts. So he said, so the cause of Einecho brachos becheshbon. So the bracha there, I guess, I'm not sure the pasuk exactly. The bracha is in the count. Kenizker bezoyer pinchas, the call cheshbon gematria and gematria evo gematria. He says ein b'malchus. So now he says the question is that how is it that das, which is in the middle and it's located in different places, let's say for example upper das, lower das. And there's something in the Rishash later. We just want to get to it after this. So what's the reason why das is called considered to be malchus? I mean, how'd you get to that? Even the male side is going to be considered that. When you look at it in the side of the Gevuras, it's still going to be considered to be malchus. Yuvan al pi mashrim is boy bedrush das. So he said in the SHAAR Damas over there, it says shachachma bina das. So he says another way to look at them, heim nechshavim bebechin neshama ruach nefesh. You could look at them like that. In this case, das becomes nefesh. Harei sheshnei chelkei hadas heim bebechin nefesh kilvad. So there's two parts of this das which are going to be in the lower end. It's going to be the nefesh of the das. So that's interesting. The das. Let me just read this again. Shachachma bina v'das heim nechshav bebechin neshama ruach nefesh. Harei sheshnei chelkei hadas either whether this is the male part or the female part, hein b'bechinas nefesh k'nizker. Bechinas nefesh is malchus. B'kol makom. In any case, nefesh is always malchus. So he's saying that das, and this is how we have an idea that das is also malchus, completely new idea. Besod nefesh, David, like we have like this over there, k'nizker b'zohar v'yigash. So there's a little bit more here because I wanted to explore some of the idea of this ayin dalet. I don't want to go too long. We're really at the finish of just looking at the whole thing. Ayin dalet ki hadas, he said, but bechinas malchus. So das is malchus. So that was the phrase I saw, and it just didn't make sense. And then we just read a background on it. So it's considered to be a malchus. It's the malchus, let's say, of the triangle of chochmah bina das. So therefore you can count it. Okay, let's say you count it. I happen to be learning that so with the Chavruza now, going through Rapach Netzutzim. So what would be in the Rapach Netzutzim? And reading on, and he says, the Inyan Hamadregos shall Oris Elyonim. So what are the different levels? We have really basic 12 levels, but deals with 7. And also the difference between the letter and its highest sense is in just the letter, looking at the surah of the letter. So this is that. This deals with the upper 9 spheros. Now, I'm not sure where that came from or what 9 spheros. Where's he talking from Malchus? Or whether we're talking about just the letters themselves, the upper 9, he says, or we're talking about just the gematrias of them, shehem b'malchus, which refers to malchus. So he's saying like this: the upper 9, I guess from, I don't know how you count, from chochmah, let's say, down through yesod. All of those are going to be in just their form. But when you get to Malchus, you actually count it. So there over there, Shehem b'Malchus shehi nekeva shall call parts of besod Masha Omar ala Malchus ezecha ve'enecha berchos brachos. So your lies, it's actually talking about Malchus, brachos becheshbon, that you count over there. Ba'ayin sham mashin is bar shekein hu b'pratecha b'kol sfira shechacheshbon shalom. Hu b'bechinas prat amalchus sheba. So we're always talking about that. Now he's going to go into that. Maybe we'll come back to it at another time. But I want to go and finish because I think we have like 9 minutes. You're stopping at 6:30 today. Also, yeah. Okay, so we're actually on page where we're actually finishing the whole thing. I'll look through it. There's so many different places to go in and see Chidushim and so on and so forth. I just don't know where to look exactly. But over here we're on page Tav Kuf Tes Zayin, all the way in the back. We're right at the end of the Drush. And he's been going through different letter combinations and not sure exactly because I forget. So here he said, V'hinecha b'chutz of the aretz, ein zivug ki'im be'eretz Yisrael. That's a simple idea. The actual yichud between Zachar and Nuk can only take place in Eretz Yisrael. So he said, now I'm here in exile. B'li zivug elyon, and the upper zivug between Zachar and Nuk is not happening. The Shana above Arad Yisrael, and this is the meaning of this phrase. Next year in the land of Israel. The Yizdaveg HaMelech Im Eretz Yisrael, so that the Melech that is Zeranpin should be Yimecha Yichud with Eretz Yisrael Adyona. V'zecha Keneged Kol Dichvin Yesei V'Yechel. So this is really referring to Malchus, and Malchus' desires to come to Zeranpin, Shehu So the Zivug, which is what gets the ball rolling. Ube Eretz Yisrael Adyona. So during Eretz Yisrael, when there is going to be a yichud, so that's the idea. So the kissing there will be the closeness that you get there would be avina, which is the makom b'cherus. And this is what it says after this. Hashta hacha, now here avde, we are served slaves. the Shana Rabba Ba'ara the Yisrael B'nei Chorin. So this idea, I guess, is talking about Yichud. Now we go on page Tov Kuf Kaf Aleph, and it says Maror. And then the idea Maror Korach, and taking the Maror and wrapping it. Vata Nevar Inyan the Charosa. So now we're going to talk about I don't know what happened there. Just Maror Korach. So I don't know what goes on there. Let's go in. Anyway. Inyan the Charosa Daki Chazivuk and the Azah Belel Pesach Hu Im Rachel. Ve'ein Zivug Im Leah Klal Belel Zeh. There is no Yichud in Leah at all. Now, this whole lot of big deal here, I think, really. Kamoshi is Bar Lamata, as we're going to explain down below. Ve'im Kol Zeh Anu Tzricha Lahamtek Es Hadinim Shabal. We still have to sweeten up Leah. V'afal Pi She'ein Zivug Imah. So how does that happen? That happens by this process of dipping the maror in the charosis. Charosis is actually a Hebrew of two different words. The two words are rus and sach. So what is that? That's charosis. Those are the letters. So we'll break it up like that. Let's keep going. Pirush, Indian. So let me explain. He says, what is this telling me? Indian who ki hinech nukva dezer anpen beklalusach benikbur shem adni. The nukva is called by the name Adni. That's Gematria 65. Hinech lechas he the shtayim, and she, the nuk, he says, is divided into two. Who are they? Vehem le'av rachel chasha einen nechlal miyachad k'nayid. There are times when they're one, or they more or less, and this is a time when they're not together. They're two separate partsufim. The Hiyoski Leah Kula Bedinin, the Fi Shehi Acharayim, because what is she? It's an Acharayim, the Imach Yalorkanaider. Chem Shem Adni Mischalak, so therefore the name Adni can be divided up, Bechem the Shtei Bechinas, to the two different parts. Kishem Adni Bebishuto Hu Barachel. So we say that name in its simple sense is in Rachel. But if you take the name Adni in Amiloi, it comes to, that's Leah. Why? The fishi milui hu begematria elokem, and Leah is din shu din, nitin Leah. So therefore, that part's going to go over to Leah. Now, this all could be explored in greater depth if we want, because it's interesting. V'ha'inyan hu ki adni b'meluoku teror. It's a gematria 671. It's the Aramaic word for gate. Interesting enough. So take out the pasha. Take out from Tiroy the pasha, which is 65, minyan adni, the Rachel. Take Rachel away. Now we're just looking at Leah. Yishar miluyev shehu b'gematria Rus. As Leah. So Rus goes to Leah. Now, what is this? This is the secret of the letters Rus. Shebecharosis, which is actually the Rus part of the word charosis. So the charosis is really the word, as he said before, sak rus. Shebecharosis shehiba bechinas Leah. That's the Leah part. That Rus is part of it. Is the Leah part. V'shtei osias sach, the other two letters, shebecharosis nisharim hiba bechinas mochin is their anpen. That represents the mochin is their anpen. How do you get to that? Shehem anikraim chai hamelach, which are called chai hamelach, communion sach. Now later down below he explains that chai hamelach, there's nothing there that adds up to 68. Is that the word chayim adds up to 68, and there's more, I guess, to be looked at there. Kamavur be'inyan hatfilin, shem shlosha shemas ekia havaya ekia, which gets you that gematria too. For Ravana, so the Ravana is like this. Lacham shechachayim and iskarim and a mochin is their anpin to stream down those mochin. El leach anikros rus, which is called rus, kadeshi is mat kuchel dinachu, in order to be able to sweeten her dinim. V'zechu, so this is the sod hamaror. Maror is a gematria 446. Shiva gematria movis, which Marvis has the same gematria there. Shehem so dinim hamarim shabak asher bachem nechazim aklipos anikrayim movis. The lamatka, in order to be able to sweeten it up, The sach that we talked about, hamshachas achayim, by bringing the hamshachas hamayim into it, which is a gematria. Chayim is a gematria of sach. The zera v'tam shetzarek sheyarkish tam marira. So this is the reason why you have to taste the bitterness. Being below, if you swallow it, lo yatsi yedei, then you're not going to be to fulfill your obligation. Al shel yila asanda chavishida until you chew it with your teeth. Ga yedei dechinas shinayim mismatkim umis daktikim. You make them real small. Kokos eden sheba kabavuchet slender beinin kavanas achila. We'll talk about that. Ba yedei shlosha shtayim shinayim, through the 32 teeth. The teeth. V'ayin sham b'shar mitzvos in Parshas Ekev. V'liyoski ein ziva b'leya b'lela Pesach. Since there's no yifik there b'lela Pesach, there ain't lo huskro rock derek a rye b'minyan the charosis. So there it's only just, I'm not sure what he means by Indian a rye that got through the charosis. She'enach ela zecher b'alma the divisofen. That's only just a mention. So I guess that chewing idea is really a suggestion. I know we're running out of time. Try to get to the end of this. So therefore we don't have any separation like side drinking, for example, between these two koses, because they're really one. Lishtos kos echad shall rishos to kos acher shall rishos. You can't eat another, drink something else. The fish shnechem moch echad the v'chadas v'tzark the chavram. You have to always have them together. Yachad the val osam the klol osam zeb zecher kamoshi is bar. V'lechein bein shlish revia. So therefore, between the third cup and the fourth cup, lo yishtik niska b'mishnah. So we don't drink over there. V'hu ki charasanda b'vurs aim zachav v'dekeva, because they actually represent two halves of one whole. V'tzark l'chavram yachad, and that's the whole idea here. And I guess we'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll get into the piece in the back a little bit. Call to Rabbi.